sort of food they have eaten today or somewhere in the recent past? Raise your hands. All right, those are very good habits. Thank you, thank you. Now, how many of you guys have ever been to a supermarket or some sort of grocery store to buy some sort of food? Again, very good habits. This process of strolling around the aisleways in a grocery store is second nature to many. And if you need an apple, you go to the produce section, you pick it up, you look at its physical characteristics, and you instinctively throw it in your cart without thinking twice of any repercussions this fruit may have on your health or life. This undeterred trust and confidence us Americans have for our neighborhood stores and markets have been instilled in us since childhood, believing that these establishments wouldn't dare sell foodstuff that is disadvantageous for our health while still advertising things that are unadulterated and clean. This then segues into my topic right here, which is the labeling of genetically modified foods, or rather the lack of. As of recently, the term GMOs have been thrown around the media in kind of a fanfare way, ravenously, but little concrete evidence has been there for the harm and actual evidence of these substantiated claims. Even with all this flamboyance, many lack the knowledge on this subject, as according to the 2015 study called Supermarket Customer Service Representatives' Knowledge of Genetically Modified Food and Labeling, and this, study showed that 52.9% of customer service reps couldn't accurately define what a GMO was, and this is significant because these people are involved in the of produce and what food is and everything. And after extensive research of this issue, I plan today to provide you with solely facts about genetically engineered foods, what severity this new technology may entail, and why every American should possess the right to know whether or not what they are putting in their body has been altered in any sort of fashion. If anyone's skeptical about genetically engineered foods and the prevalence of this issue, take into consideration that according to the 2013 essay by Anton Wallers called Labeling of Genetically Modified Foods, it is estimated that 60 to 80% of all processed foods in the world contain genetically modified ingredients. And this slide solidifies this. As you see, you have soy and cotton, which are one of the big exports and imports of America, and we consume them almost daily. All these genetically modified foods go unlabeled to the public and consumers as you and me. So whether you like it or not, the exposure to this issue is inevitable. With this newer technologies, the idea of genetically modified food is ambivalent and ambiguous for much of America. So I'd like to start off with the first stance, which is the non-controversial argument on mandated labeling, which comes from a consumer's right to know what they are buying. Scott Hensley authored the 2010 article, "Americans Are Wary of Genetically Engineered Food," expands upon this and quotes that free market economics assumes purchase decisions are made by well-informed customers, but in the instance of genetically engineered food, it's the complete opposite, as many are very ignorant on this topic. For this reason, many countries in the world have, over 60 in fact, have been labeling them, as you can tell by this slide. And they're doing this because the fundamental moral of knowing what you are buying is essential in their countries. And this was stated by Benjamin Sinauer in his publication of Mandatory Labeling of Genetically Engineered Foods. Now, for the more controversial and disputed side of this argument, which comes from how genetically engineered food may have some physical implications on your health and your livelihood. While they have been proved to be not dangerous for humans, they have also been proven to be not safe to the public. And as David Friedman so eloquently states in his scientific publication, Genetically Mollified, GMOs are acting currently as a long-term experiment in our human society for they've only been implemented since like the 1980s, I believe, and with human consumers as unbeknownst participants in this experiment. One advocation for these dangers of genetically engineered foods comes from a 2015 Turkish study on feeding rats. Scientists Orby, Kandil, and Chaffee fed albino rats a strictly genetically modified based diet for a series of 90 days and concluded that there were significant hormonal indifferences and altercations in each one of these rats, and also in enzyme production with each one of these animals. This provides a clear indication that health and predominantly genetically modified diets do have some sort of correlation. Another one of these instances comes from a 2009 article from Critical Reviews in Food and Science Nutrition, stating that after years of research, the cancerous growth of the growth hormone IGF-1 increased in experimental animals that were consuming these engineered foods daily. With these examples supporting the detractions of GMOs, some are wondering how the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, they're the ones who determine whether or not a food is safe for the public, or why are they not detailing these issues when releasing them to the public? Well, Gregory Konko documents in his article Open Market that genetically engineered foods are treated nearly equivalent to regular foods, and this is how the FDA perceives them, that claiming that a different label will only distinguish between natural and genetically modified food, and the only reason to do it is if they have any sort of distinction from their natural source, such as nutritional value, taste, or looks. With all this information I've presented to you, the next time you see yourself in a supermarket, you might find yourself a little overwhelmed with the sea of produce. So I'm going to show you guys a key fact whenever you guys go into the supermarket to determine whether or not your food is genetically modified, organic, or conventionally grown. So you just got to look at the label, the product label on the foods you're buying, and if the food starts with a 5-digit code starting with the 8, it is in fact genetically modified. If it's a 5-digit code starting with a 9, it is organic, which is the better thing to get. And then if it's a 4-digit code starting with a 3 or 4, it is conventionally grown in fields and such. As consuming humans and adults, we have the right to buy the harmful substances of tobacco and alcohol, and we are aware of the consequences they ensue. But nevertheless, it is our liberty to buy these things. I believe this openness should be applied to the labeling of genetically modified foods. Whether or not it imposes danger to our health, the issue remains a full disclosure of purchase to the buyer. I hope to have consoled you guys on why the United States should mandate the labeling of all genetically modified foods, for the morals of authenticity and trustfulness should hold precedence whenever you're in the supermarket buying and what goes into your body. Thank you.